My wife texted from the airport. My parents think it's best if this trip is blood relatives only, so don't come. I had paid for the whole vacation. I replied, understood. Then I called the resort and canceled the reservations. They landed with no hotel and no return tickets. Original Post I-38 mail. Need to get this off my chest because the last 48 hours have been absolutely unhinged. My wife, 36, and I have been married for 8 years. Her parents have always been, let's say, traditional about family. They've never fully warmed up to me, despite the fact that I've been nothing but respectful and generous with them over the years. 2 months ago, my mother-in-law mentions this family vacation idea. A week at a resort for the whole family. My wife, her parents, her brother, and his wife, their 2 kids. Big family bonding trip. My wife was excited about it. Here's the thing. Her family doesn't have money. Her dad's retired. Her brother works retail management. They were talking about maybe doing a long weekend at a budget hotel. I suggested upgrading the whole thing. I'd cover it. We're talking a nice oceanfront resort, proper accommodations, the works. Call it an early anniversary gift to my wife and a gesture to her family. Total cost, $400. 3 rooms for a week, resort fees, everything prepaid. I put it on my credit card 6 weeks ago. Non-refundable rate because it was 40% cheaper. My wife was thrilled. Her parents actually thanked me. Her brother seemed uncomfortable accepting, but his wife was excited for the kids. Fast forward to yesterday morning. I'm at work, finishing up some reports before taking the week off. My wife and her family were flying out early, 6 a.m. flight. I was supposed to join them on a later flight at 2 p.m. because I had to wrap up a project presentation. At 8:30 a.m., I get this text from my wife. Hey, so my parents talked to me, and they think it would be better if this trip was just blood relatives. Family bonding time, you know? Maybe you can do a guys' weekend with your friends instead? Don't be mad, it's just how they feel. I stared at that text for a solid minute. Blood relatives only. For the vacation I paid for. That I'd been planning to attend in 5 hours. I texted back, understood. Then I called the resort. Explained there was a family emergency and I needed to cancel everything. The woman on the phone was sympathetic but firm. Non-refundable rate, but she could cancel the reservation. No refund, but at least no one could check in without my name and credit card. Canceled all 3 rooms. Took maybe 10 minutes. Then I called the airline. My ticket was refundable since it was a higher fare class. Got that money back, minus a small fee. $340 back in my account. My wife's flight landed around 2 p.m. their time. I was in a meeting when my phone started blowing up. Silenced it and kept working. Got home around 6 p.m. Checked my phone. 23 missed calls, 15 texts, 3 voicemails. The texts were a journey. Wife, we're at the resort and they're saying there's no reservation? Wife, call me now. Wife, this isn't funny. Fix this. Mother-in-law, from wife's phone, what is going on? They won't let us check in. Wife, are you seriously doing this right now? My parents are humiliated. Brother-in-law, dude, what the hell? My kids are tired. I poured myself a drink and listened to the voicemails. First one, my wife, trying to sound calm. Hey, there's some mix-up with the reservation. Can you call the resort and sort it out? Second one, my wife, angry. I know you can see these messages. Fix this now. Third one, my father-in-law. Son, I don't know what's going on, but we need you to straighten this out with the hotel. We're all very tired, and this isn't the time for games. Games, right? I texted my wife back. Can't help with reservations for a trip I'm not invited to. Hope you figure it out. Have a great family bonding time. Then I blocked all of them. Just for the night. I needed peace. Made myself dinner, watched a movie, slept pretty well, actually. Update: the fallout begins. Unblocked everyone this morning. My phone immediately started buzzing. Apparently they spent last night at a budget airport hotel. Cost them $240 for 2 rooms, splitting between her parents and her brother's family. My wife stayed with her parents, per her text. They'd spent yesterday evening trying to find accommodation. Middle of tourist season. Everything even remotely nice was booked or outrageously expensive. The texts I woke up to. Wife, I can't believe you did this. Do you know how humiliated I was? Wife, my parents are devastated. My dad almost cried. Mother-in-law, you have shown your true colors. My daughter deserves better than this petty behavior. Brother-in-law, My kids were asking why we couldn't go to the nice hotel. Real classy, man. I responded only to my wife. You uninvited me from a vacation I paid for while you were already at the airport. What did you expect would happen? I expected you to be an adult about it. They're my parents. Me. And it was my $8,400. If they wanted a blood relatives only trip, they should have paid for a blood relatives only trip. So you're going to punish children because you're mad at my parents? I'm not punishing anyone. I canceled my vacation plans when I was uninvited. What you do with your family is your business. We can't afford to stay here. We're going to have to fly home early. Okay. Okay? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? You made it clear I wasn't wanted on this trip. I accepted that and adjusted accordingly. She tried calling. I didn't answer. She had her mom try calling from her dad's phone. Didn't answer that either. Then things got interesting. My brother-in-law tried a different approach, texted from his phone. Look man, I get you're upset, but this is affecting my kids. Can we just work something out? I'll pay you back for the rooms. Actually almost reasonable. So I responded, appreciate that, but the rooms were non-refundable. Money's already gone. The cancellation was because I wasn't invited. That's between your sister and her parents, not you. They're saying it wasn't their idea. It was my parents who wanted family only. Then they should take it up with your parents. Can you at least help us find somewhere else to stay? I'm not your travel agent. Good luck though. Blocked him too. Not out of anger, just I was done being involved. My wife tried a new tactic. Sent me a long message about how her parents felt like I was always inserting myself into family matters. Ironic, given I funded this trip, and they just wanted one vacation with their kids and grandkids. She said she knew the timing was bad, but she thought I'd understand. I replied, I understand perfectly. They wanted a family vacation without me. They got it. I'm confused about what the problem is. The problem is we have nowhere to stay. Me, that sounds like something blood relatives should figure out together. I haven't heard from her in a few hours now. My guess is they're either flying home early or her parents are maxing out credit cards to salvage this. The petty part of me feels vindicated. The husband part of me knows this probably nuked my marriage. The realistic part knows I'm going to pay for this one way or another. But honestly, worth it. Update 2. The entitlement escalates. It's been 4 days since they left for the trip that wasn't. They came back yesterday, 3 days earlier than planned. Here's what I pieced together from various angry texts and one conversation with my brother-in-law, who seems to be the only halfway reasonable person in that family. After the budget hotel night, my father-in-law tried to book them into another resort. Everything was either fully booked or running $400 per night. He put one night on his credit card at some mid-tier hotel before accepting they couldn't afford to stay the week. My mother-in-law apparently had a meltdown in the hotel lobby, crying about how I'd ruined her family vacation and embarrassed them. My wife joined in. The hotel staff asked them to leave the lobby. They spent 2 days doing free beach stuff and eating cheap food before flying home early. Had to pay change fees for the flights. Total damage to them. Around $1,200 between the budget hotels, the one decent night, meals, and flight changes. My wife got home yesterday afternoon. I was sitting in the living room when she walked in. She looked exhausted. We need to talk, she said. Okay. My parents want you to reimburse them for the money they spent trying to salvage the trip you ruined. I actually laughed. Couldn't help it. No. They're out over $1,000 because of you. They're out $1,000 because they wanted a blood relatives vacation but didn't want to pay blood relatives prices. You're being cruel. My mom is devastated. Your mom uninvited me from a vacation I funded. I'm unclear on why I should care about her feelings. Because she's my mother. And I'm your husband, or I was. Not sure what I am now. That stopped her. What's that supposed to mean? It means your parents decided I'm not family. You agreed with them, so why are we having this conversation? Don't be dramatic, you're twisting this. Am I? Let me ask you something. When your parents said blood relatives only, what did you say? She didn't answer right away. I told them that was hurtful. But you texted me to tell me not to come. Because they were insistent. What was I supposed to do? 'Cause a scene at the airport. You were supposed to say, my husband paid for this vacation, he's coming. But you didn't. It's more complicated than that. It's really not. She started crying. I thought you'd understand. I thought you'd be supportive of me wanting time with my family. I would have been. If you'd asked me before I paid for everything, or before you got to the airport, or literally any time except when you were already there and I was heading to my flight. So you punished all of us. I canceled plans I wasn't invited to. That's not punishment, that's common sense. She went to stay with her parents that night, came back this morning with her dad. My father-in-law tried the diplomatic approach. Sat me down at the kitchen table like we're going to have some man-to-man talk. Son, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Has there? We never meant to exclude you permanently. We just wanted some quality time with our daughter and son without in-laws. You understand. So your son's wife was uninvited too? Pause. Well, no, she was. So it was just me. It's not personal. It's definitionally personal. You decided I wasn't family enough for a family trip. Now you're being sensitive. Men don't. Don't finish that sentence. I'm not interested in what you think men do or don't do. He tried a different approach. What if we paid you back for the resort? We can set up a payment plan. The resort was non-refundable. The money's gone, and even if it wasn't, I wouldn't take a payment plan from you. Then what do you want? Nothing. I don't want anything from you. You're willing to let this destroy your marriage? I'm not the one who made it a choice between my marriage and a vacation. That was you. My wife jumped in. Stop being stubborn. They're trying to make this right. By offering to pay me back money they don't have for a trip that already happened, that doesn't make anything right. That's just trying to ease their guilt. Mother-in-law, who'd been silent until now. You're a spiteful small man. My daughter could have married someone with class. Someone with class would have paid for their own vacation. She slapped me, actually slapped me across the face. The room went silent. I stood up. Get out of my house. You can't. This is my house. My name on the mortgage. Get out now or I'm calling the police. My father-in-law tried to calm things down. Now everyone just... out. All of you. Now. They left, my wife included, though she looked back like she was waiting for me to stop her. I didn't. Update 3. The legal reality. It's been 2 weeks since they left for the disaster trip. My wife still hasn't come home. She's staying with her parents, which tells me everything I need to know about where her loyalties are. I consulted with a divorce attorney. Just a consultation, seeing what my options are. Here's the financial reality nobody talks about in these revenge stories. We live in a no-fault divorce state. The house is in both our names, even though I paid the down payment. She's entitled to half the equity, about $85,000. The cars are in our individual names, so at least I keep mine. We don't have kids, which simplifies things, but also means there's less leverage for negotiation. My retirement accounts are partly marital property. Even the vacation money, the lawyer said if she pushes, a judge might see it as marital funds spent out of spite, and I could be ordered to compensate her portion. Half of $8,400 equals $14,200. Best case scenario, we mediate, split things semi-fairly, and I'm out maybe $90,000 total when you factor in the house equity, half the vacation cost, and lawyer fees. Worst case, she fights it, we rack up legal bills, and I'm out $120,000 plus. The petty satisfaction of canceling that vacation is about to cost me 6 figures. But here's the thing. I'd do it again. Because the alternative was accepting that I'm not really part of this family, and that's not a marriage I want to stay in. My wife finally called yesterday, not to apologize or talk about coming home, to tell me her parents have hired a lawyer and they're considering suing me for intentional infliction of emotional distress. I laughed. Good luck with that. They're serious. My mom had to go to therapy because of what you did. Your mom slapped me in my own house. I should be the one suing. She was emotional. You provoked her. Tell her lawyer to call my lawyer. We'll sort it out in court. You're really gonna let it go that far? I'm not letting anything go anywhere. You all made your choices. These are the consequences. I miss you, she said suddenly. I miss us. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you picked your parents over your husband without a second thought. That's not fair. Fair was me spending $8,400 on your family vacation. Fair was me being a good husband for 8 years. Fair was me trying to have a relationship with your parents despite them never accepting me. What happened at that airport wasn't fair. I made a mistake. You made a choice. There's a difference. Can we try counseling? Work through this? To what end? So 6 months from now your parents want something else and you pick them again? Silence on the line. That's what I thought, I said. She tried another angle. What about the money? You're really gonna lose half the house over this. Probably. Divorce is expensive. We could avoid all that if you just apologized to my parents. Apologize for what? For ruining the trip, for humiliating them. I'd rather pay the divorce lawyer. She hung up on me. Her brother called an hour later. Look, I'm staying out of this, but my parents are talking about filing a police report for theft or fraud or something. For what? For taking their vacation money under false pretenses. I didn't take their money. I paid for a vacation I was attending. When I was uninvited, I canceled my plans. That's what I told them, but they're not listening. My dad's convinced you committed some kind of crime. Let him file the report. The cops will laugh him out of the station. I don't want this to get uglier, man. Then maybe you should tell your parents to accept reality. They wanted me out of the family? Congratulations, they got their wish, but they don't get to keep the benefits of having me in the family while excluding me from it. They're saying they never meant permanently. I don't care what they meant. I care what they did. He sighed. For what it's worth, I think you had every right to cancel. My wife agrees. We told them that. I appreciate that. But my sister's a mess, and my mom won't stop crying. Your mom slapped me. I know, that was wrong. I told her that too. At least someone in that family has sense. The divorce papers are being drawn up. My lawyer says we'll probably settle out of court. Neither of us wants to pay litigation costs. I'll lose about $95,000 when all is said and done. The house sale, splitting assets, the vacation money she'll get half of, lawyer fees. My wife sent a final text yesterday. I hope you're happy. You destroyed our marriage over one mistake. I didn't respond right away, sat with it for a while. Then I replied, I didn't destroy our marriage. I just stopped pretending I was part of your family. There's a difference. She hasn't responded. My brother-in-law texted this morning. They're not filing the police report. Lawyer told them they don't have a case. But heads up, my mom's telling everyone you abandoned them at the resort. I wasn't at the resort. I was uninvited. Yeah, that detail isn't making it into her version. So now I'm the villain in their family story. The cruel husband who left them stranded. Never mind that they uninvited me. Never mind that I paid for everything. Some mutual friends have reached out. Half of them think I'm justified. Half think I went too far. One friend said, you proved your point, but at what cost? The cost is about $95,000 and 8 years of marriage. But here's what I gained. Self-respect. The knowledge that I won't be treated as a second-class family member. The certainty that I stood up for myself when it mattered. My wife moved the last of her stuff out yesterday. She didn't take much. Most of the furniture was mine anyway. She looked around the living room before she left. This didn't have to happen, she said. You're right. It didn't. All you had to say was my husband paid for this trip, he's coming. But you didn't. I was trying to keep the peace. You can't keep the peace by throwing your spouse under the bus. That's not how marriage works. I know that now. Little late, she left crying. Her dad was waiting in the car outside. Didn't even have the decency to come to the door. The house is quiet now, empty in a way that has nothing to do with furniture. I'm sleeping in the guest room because the master bedroom feels too big. People keep asking if I regret it. Honestly? No. The money sucks. The divorce sucks. But accepting that I wasn't really family would have sucked worse. I paid for a vacation I was uninvited from, so I canceled it. Everything that happened after was just the natural consequence of their decision. They wanted blood relatives only? They got it. Just cost them $1,200 and me $95,000. Was it worth it? Ask me in a year. Right now, I'm still too angry to care about the money. My lawyer says the divorce will be final in about 3 months. Wife gets her half of everything. I keep the parts that were mine before marriage. Clean break. Brother-in-law sent one more text. For what it's worth, I told my parents they were wrong. Won't change anything, but I wanted you to know. I appreciated that. Told him so. Last thing, my father-in-law tried to call yesterday from a number I didn't recognize. Left a voicemail about how he'd reconsidered his position and wanted to extend an olive branch. Deleted it without finishing. I'm done extending anything to that family. The house goes on the market next week. I'm looking at apartments. Starting over at 38 isn't ideal, but it beats being in a marriage where I'm only family when it's convenient. People say I should have been the bigger person. Should have eaten the disrespect for the sake of the marriage. Should have funded the vacation even after being uninvited. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm petty and vindictive and everything my ex-in-laws say I am. But I'll sleep fine knowing I didn't accept being treated like I don't matter. That's worth more than $95,000. Even if some days I'm not sure I believe that. My wife texted her sister, I'm keeping the lake house in the divorce. It's practically mine anyway. She didn't know my family's lawyer had already transferred the deed to a family trust, with me as sole beneficiary. Her attorney called mine screaming about hidden assets until he saw the legal timeline. I, 38 male, found out my wife wants a divorce because I accidentally saw a text on her iPad while we were watching TV. The iPad we share for streaming, the one that's logged into her iCloud. Her sister Maxine's message was still on the screen. What about the lake house? Brielle's response, oh, I'm definitely keeping that. It's practically mine anyway. I've decorated it, planned all the renovations. He barely uses it. My lawyer says since we've had it the whole marriage, it's marital property. I just sat there, remote in hand, watching some cooking show but not really watching anymore. The lake house, my family's lake house. The one my grandfather built in 1962. The one my dad proposed to my mom at. The one where we scattered my sister's ashes after the accident. Practically hers. I set the iPad down carefully. Didn't say anything. Brielle was in the kitchen making tea, completely unaware. Here's what she didn't know. 6 months ago, my parents sat me down. Dad had just turned 70. Mom was dealing with early-stage Parkinson's. They wanted to do estate planning, get everything organized, while they still could. The lake house, Dad had said. We want to protect it, keep it in the family no matter what happens. They'd seen Brielle's behavior, the way she talked about our lake house to her friends, how she'd started making decisions without consulting anyone, changing locks, redecorating without asking, acting like she owned it. My parents' attorney, Roger, who'd handled our family's legal stuff for 30 years, suggested a family trust. Transfer the property out of my parents' names, put it in a trust with me as the sole beneficiary and trustee. Legal, legitimate, properly documented. We did it in March. Full appraisal, gift tax returns filed, trust documents recorded, all above board. The lake house wasn't marital property because I'd never owned it personally. My parents had owned it, now the trust owned it. I just managed it. Brielle had no idea. I picked up my phone and texted my lawyer, Helena. We'd been friends since law school. She'd done our wills when we got married 5 years ago. Need to talk. Wife wants divorce. She thinks she's getting the lake house. Helena called me 2 minutes later. The trust property? Yep. Oh boy, when are you filing? Didn't know I was filing until about 10 minutes ago. Want me to handle it? Please. I filed first, beat Brielle by 3 days. Update 1, 2 weeks later, Brielle lost her mind when she got served. You filed for divorce? I was packing a bag, moving into a hotel while this sorted out. Cleaner that way. Seemed like that's where we were headed based on your texts with Maxine. Her face went pale. Then read. You read my private messages? They popped up on the shared iPad, the one you were logged into, while we were watching TV. That's invasion of privacy. Actually, it's called being in the same room as an unlocked device. But hey, let's talk about the lake house. What about it? You told Maxine you're keeping it in the divorce, that it's practically yours. She lifted her chin. It is. We've been married 5 years. I've put so much work into that place. Your parents barely even use it anymore. Brielle, you don't own the lake house. You've never owned the lake house. My parents owned it. Now a family trust owns it. You have zero legal claim. That's not. Your lawyer can't just already did. 6 months ago. all documented, properly filed. My parents transferred it to protect family assets during their estate planning. You want to call your lawyer and ask about how separate property trusts work?" She grabbed her phone and left the room. I could hear her voice getting louder in the bedroom. 20 minutes later, she came back out. "My attorney says you're lying. Says you probably hid assets, moved things around after deciding to divorce to keep me from getting what I'm entitled to." Cool. Helena's got all the documentation. Trust was established in March, 6 months before I even knew you wanted a divorce. Your attorney can review the timeline. This is shady. This is financial abuse. It's estate planning. My parents protecting their property. You were never entitled to their lake house, Brielle. I put work into that place. I chose all the furniture. I planned the deck renovation. With their money, on their property. You want reimbursement for your time? We can discuss reasonable compensation for interior decorating? How's $500 sound? She threw her phone at me. Missed. Hit the wall. My family is going to hear about this. I'm sure they will. She called her parents that night. I know because her dad called me the next day. What the hell is this about the lake house? Hi, Donald. It's in a family trust. Always was family property. Brielle has no claim. She's put 5 years of her life into that relationship. She deserves an equitable division of actual marital assets. The lake house isn't one. Talk to your daughter's lawyer if you don't believe me. He can review the trust documents. Click. Brielle moved in with Maxine. Her lawyer requested all financial documentation. Helena provided everything, including the complete trust file with dates, appraisals, and recorded deeds. Then things got interesting. Brielle's lawyer sent a demand letter accusing me of hiding assets and fraudulent transfer. Said they'd be filing a motion to set aside the trust as a sham transaction designed to deprive Mrs. Whitmore of her marital rights. Helena's response was beautiful. The trust was established 6 months prior to divorce filing, during routine estate planning by elderly parents facing health issues. All transfers properly documented, appraised, and recorded. Trust funded with separate property that was never marital asset. Client never had ownership interest to convey, no marital funds used. Your client had no reasonable expectation of inheritance or ownership. Accusation of fraud is baseless and potentially sanctionable. Suggest you review trust law before filing frivolous motions. Radio silence for a week. Then Brielle's lawyer called Helena. Wanted to discuss settlement. Translation, he'd reviewed the trust documents, realized his client was wrong, and didn't want to get sanctioned for filing a baseless fraud claim. Update 2. 6 weeks later. The entitlement escalated in creative ways. First, Brielle tried an end run. Showed up at the lake house with a moving truck. My parents were there for the weekend. Dad called me. Your wife is here with movers. Says she's collecting her belongings. What belongings? All the furniture she bought. The kitchen stuff, the deck furniture, everything. I drove up there, 2-hour drive. Got there to find Brielle directing movers to load my parents' furniture onto a truck. Brielle, what are you doing? Taking what's mine. I paid for all of this. With whose money? Mine. I pulled out my phone, opened our bank statements. Really? Because here's a $4,800 charge to Pottery Barn from our joint account. Here's $2,200 to Williams Sonoma. That's our money, marital funds. Exactly. Which means it's marital property, which means it gets divided in the divorce. You can't just take it. Your family doesn't even want this stuff. They hate my taste. My mom walked out onto the deck. Actually, Brielle, we loved what you did with the place, but it's still our house, and you're trespassing. Brielle's face twisted. You old bag, you never liked me. You put him up to this whole thing. My dad stepped forward. You need to leave. Now, before we call the sheriff. Fine, but I'm taking what I paid for. No, I said calmly. You're not. The furniture stays. We'll assess its value and credit you appropriately in the divorce settlement, but you don't get to show up with a truck and steal from my parents. The movers looked uncomfortable. One of them spoke up. Ma'am, if there's a dispute about ownership, we can't take anything. Liability issue. Brielle screamed. Actual screaming. Then she grabbed a lamp, a $400 lamp she'd bought with our joint account, and smashed it on the deck. There. Now nobody gets it. My dad already had his phone out, recording. That's destruction of property, Mom said quietly. On our property, that's a crime, Brielle. Brielle stormed off. The movers apologized and left. I helped my parents clean up the broken lamp. Dad forwarded the video to Helena. Helena forwarded it to Brielle's lawyer with a note. Your client committed vandalism on my client's family property. Video evidence attached suggests you counsel her regarding appropriate behavior during divorce proceedings. Brielle's lawyer had to be so tired. But wait, there's more. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Roger, my parents' estate attorney. Someone filed a challenge to the trust, claims it was established fraudulently to avoid marital property division. Who? Your wife. And her mother. Her mother? Margaret Brennan. She's claiming she was promised access to the lake house as part of your marriage agreement. Says your parents verbally agreed she could use it whenever she wanted. She's claiming promissory estoppel. I actually laughed. That's insane. There was no agreement. My parents never promised anything. I know, but they filed it. Probably cost them $5,000 in legal fees for a claim that'll get dismissed in about 30 seconds. Let me guess. They're trying to pressure my parents into settling. Bingo. I called my parents. Did you hear about the trust challenge? Roger told us, Dad said. We're not worried. There's no basis for it. It's harassment. Yes, but we can handle it. Don't worry about us. Focus on your divorce. The hearing for the trust challenge was scheduled. Helena attended with Roger. Brielle's lawyer didn't even show up. Apparently, he'd told them it was a bad idea and they'd hired a different attorney for this. The judge reviewed the motion, looked at the trust documents, looked at the timeline. Mrs. Whitmore, you're claiming this trust was established to defraud you of marital property? Yes, Your Honor. The trust was established 6 months before divorce filing. Do you have any evidence your husband knew you wanted a divorce at that time? He must have suspected. That's not evidence. Do you have any evidence the trust was established for any reason other than legitimate estate planning? His parents were trying to keep me from getting what's rightfully mine. The lake house was never rightfully yours. It was separate property owned by his parents. They transferred it to a trust. That's legal. Your husband never owned it personally, so it was never marital property. Motion denied. And Mrs. Whitmore? Filing frivolous claims wastes the court's time. Don't do it again. Helena said Brielle cried in the hallway afterward. Her lawyer, the new one, withdrew from her case the next day. Back to the divorce. Brielle's third lawyer, a guy named Paul who apparently specialized in complex property division, requested a meeting. Helena and I sat down with him. Brielle wasn't there. Paul slid a settlement proposal across the table. They wanted the house, our marital home, $425K equity, her car, which was paid off, half my 401K, $78K, alimony of $3,000 a month for 5 years, and $25,000 for her pain and suffering. In exchange, I'd get my car, my personal belongings, and half my 401K. Helena didn't even pick up the paper. Countered. He keeps the house, it's in his name, purchased before marriage with his down payment. She gets her car, 401K splits 50-50 per law. No alimony. They were married 5 years. She works full-time as a dental hygienist, making $62. No pain and suffering. That's not a thing in no-fault divorce. She gets half the joint savings, $18K, and half the furniture she purchased with marital funds. Appraised value $12K, so $6 credit. That's it. Paul frowned. She's not going to accept that. Then we go to trial. Judge will order roughly the same thing, but she'll pay more in legal fees, her choice. She feels she's entitled to more, given her contributions to the marriage. Her contributions? She worked part-time for 3 years, then full-time for 2. She paid roughly 30% of household expenses. My client paid 70%. She's not entitled to more. She's entitled to exactly half of actual marital property, which is what we're offering. Paul left to discuss with his client. Update 3, Final 3. The divorce finalized 4 months after I filed. Took that long because Brielle kept dragging her feet, hoping I'd cave. I didn't. Final settlement. She got her car, half the 401K, $78,000, half the joint savings, $18,000, and $6,000 cash for her furniture contribution. Total, $102,000. I kept the house, my car, my half of the 401K, and my sanity. No alimony, no lake house, no pain and suffering. The judge was clearly irritated by the whole thing. During the final hearing, he asked Brielle directly, "Mrs. Whitmore, do you understand that your in-laws' property was never marital property? I just feel like I should get something for all the work I put into their house. That's not how property law works. You're getting a fair division of actual marital assets. Be grateful your husband's being reasonable about the house. He could have argued for a bigger share given his larger down payment in contributions. Do you accept this settlement?" She looked at Paul. He nodded. "Yes, Your Honor." "Good. Divorce granted." Outside the courthouse, Brielle approached me. First time we'd spoken directly in weeks. "I hope you're happy." "I'm not happy, Brielle. I'm sad our marriage ended, but I'm relieved this is over. You kept everything. I kept what was mine. You got what was legally yours. That's how this works. Your family poisoned you against me. No, you poisoned yourself by assuming you were entitled to things that were never yours. The lake house, for starters. I loved that place. You loved the idea of owning it. There's a difference." She started crying. "Can I at least visit? Just sometimes?" "No, Brielle, it's my family's property. You're not family anymore." She walked away. Maxine was waiting in a car at the curb. I could see her glaring at me. Whatever. Here's what I learned through all this. Entitlement is a hell of a drug. Brielle genuinely believed she deserved my family's lake house because she decorated it. She couldn't comprehend that ownership, decoration, that legal title matters, that you can't just claim things because you want them. Her family enabled her. Donald and Margaret could have told her she was being unreasonable. Instead, they backed her ridiculous trust challenge, wasted $5,000 on a frivolous lawsuit, and encouraged her to fight for things she had no legal right to. And it cost her. Not just money. Though she spent probably $15 in legal fees chasing the lake house, it cost her time, energy, and whatever goodwill might have existed for an amicable divorce. We could have settled in mediation for roughly the same outcome without the drama. Instead, she fought for months over property she was never going to get. The lake house remains in the family trust. My parents still use it. I use it sometimes. My nephew loves it. He learned to fish off that dock last summer. Brielle will never set foot there again. That's not spite. That's just reality. She's not family. She made sure of that. As for me, I'm doing okay. Dating again, slowly. Therapy helped process the betrayal. Not the divorce itself, but the realization that Brielle cared more about getting stuff than about our actual relationship. The house feels emptier now, but it's mine. I'm slowly making it mine again. New furniture, new paint, erasing her aesthetic choices. Found out recently through mutual friends that Brielle's living with Maxine. Their relationship is apparently tense. Turns out Brielle's not great at sharing space or contributing to household expenses. Shocking. She's also apparently dating someone new, a guy who owns a vacation rental business, several properties. Wonder if that's a coincidence. Some people never learn. The trust challenge getting dismissed was the most satisfying part. Watching Brielle realize she'd spent thousands of dollars on a lawyer to file a motion that got rejected in minutes. Watching the judge tell her she was wasting the court's time. That's not revenge. That's just consequences. She bet everything on a legal theory that didn't exist, that somehow she was entitled to my family's property because she'd lived in our marriage. She lost that bet. Lost it publicly. Lost it expensively. And the lake house? Still there. Still standing. Still in the family. Just like my grandfather intended. Just like my parents protected. Just like it always should have been. Brielle's text to Maxine, "It's practically mine anyway," sits in my phone screenshots folder. I look at it sometimes when I need a reminder. A reminder that assuming you're entitled to things doesn't make them yours. That legal ownership matters. That you can't just take what isn't yours, no matter how much you want it. The divorce taught me something valuable. Protect what's important before someone decides they're entitled to it. My parents did that with the trust. I'm doing that now with everything else. No regrets, no guilt, just relief that I saw who Brielle really was before we had kids, before we'd been married longer, before she could take more. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just letting someone face the reality they created. Brielle wanted the lake house. She fought for it. She lost. That's justice. And honestly, that's enough.